Welcome to Getting Mental with Dr. Dean. This is episode 2, and it's part 1 of Managing Your Anxiety, a multi part series focused on this concept of managing your anxiety. Some disclaimers, remember that this is for information and educational purposes only. This is not health or mental health advice. I am not your counselor or therapist, and this does not constitute a client counselor or therapist relationship. If you do find yourself in a mental health crisis, call 988 911. Go to your nearest emergency room.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of Getting Mental with Dr. Dean. In this episode is a part 1 of a multi part series on managing your anxiety. Today, we're going to discuss what worry and anxiety are in terms of definitions, as well as different types of thought processes that tend to initiate or elicit feelings of worry and anxiety. Let's get started.
So, consider this an introduction to shovel thoughts related to anxiety. So, these are the thoughts that would lead into feeling anxious. Now, ideally, we would want to eliminate anxiety. However, that is unfortunately not very likely, as anxiety, just like anger, is a normal emotion that we all experience at some level in our lives. For some, this anxiety may be experienced more regularly, while for others, it is less frequent. And for others, might be even less distressing, but still, anxiety is a normal part of life. Consider the concept of anger management, where we learn to balance and manage our emotions, in particular, manage our anger. The same can be said for anxiety management or managing our anxiety. So, we want to first differentiate between worry and anxiety. And according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition text revision, there's different definitions of these. First, worry is unpleasant or uncomfortable thoughts that cannot be consciously controlled by trying to turn the attention to other subjects. The worrying is often persistent, repetitive, and out of proportion to the topic worried about. It can even be about triviality or trivial things. On the other hand, anxiety is the apprehensive anticipation of future danger or misfortune accompanied by a feeling of worry, distress, and or somatic symptoms of tension. Focus of anticipated danger may be internal or external. One example I like to give my clients is the headache example. So if I have a headache, worry may look like me thinking about it, wondering if it will go away, trying to focus on some other things, but still thinking about the headache to some degree. It's still going to be present, still going to be in my mind. However, anxiety, on the other hand, would look like me thinking that, so I have a headache and I'm thinking that I have some form of cancer or it's a tumor and I'm going to die. Notice the focus on danger, misfortune based on the headache. So, from a cognitive behavioral perspective, thoughts are often what feeds the anxiety, right? There are different types of thoughts that tend to lead to feeling anxious. I call these types of thoughts shovel thoughts. And one of the reasons why I do this because I find that these shovel thoughts dig me into an emotional hole. Now, in this example, and the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on how they dig us into an anxiety emotional hole, but there could be other types of emotional holes, anger, sadness, you name it. Now, another perspective or another way to conceptualize these types of thoughts, it could be fire thoughts because they lead to emotional fires. When I think of my brain as a house, these fire thoughts can end up burning everything down and making my day in life much more difficult. But again, we're going to focus on the concept of shovel thoughts for this presentation. So the first category of anxiety producing shovel thoughts is related to worst case scenarios, where we focus on the worst case outcomes and are problem focused, not solution focused. So some examples of these worst case scenarios may be thoughts like I'm not going to graduate from high school or college, right? That pain in my stomach means I have a horrible disease and I'm going to die. My partner didn't answer the phone. They must be dead. My boss asked me to meet. They're going to fire me. The next category uh, of shovel thoughts are and then thinking or what if thinking. So the and then thinking, excuse me, the and then shovel thinking thought occurs when you think one bad or negative thing is going to happen and then another, all the way until there's a horrific outcome. It's like a negative domino effect of thoughts where one conjured negative outcome impacts or leads to the other. So, in other words, one shovel thought leads to another shovel thought, resulting in multiple scoops. Get it? Digging with the shovel, making the emotional hole deeper and deeper. An example of an and then shovel thought is I'm going to be late for work, and then my boss is going to give me the speech, and then I'm going to get written up, and that write up is going to negatively impact me when I go up for promotion, so forth and so on. So the and then shovel thought patterns like a gradual buildup of a semi worst case thought. In the worst case shovel thought, the ant hill builds to the Himalayan mountains right away. In the and then thinking, it's more like the ant hill turned into a molehill, turned into a small hill, turned into a mountain, which then turns to the Rocky Mountains. The next component of this combination of the and then thinking or what if thinking is the what if, right? And this is, of course, just put what if in front of anything. What if I fail the test? What if I die? What if they die? But there's always a counter component to that. What if I pass? What if I live? What if they live? What if I get promoted? So thinking about both is important. The next category of anxiety producing show thoughts is that this always happens and or that here we go again. So when our thoughts include here we go again, I knew this was going to happen or this always happens, then we may start to get prepared for an event to occur. Perhaps we experienced some negative event in the past, and the situation we are currently experiencing reminds us of those past events, consciously or unconsciously, and we start preparing ourselves for a similar outcome. We start by thinking that the event will happen again and again, and just because it happened once or twice or more, that it will continue to happen. So, an example of this may be, um, the last time I interviewed for a job, they never called me back. I might as well not even go, right? So, because I've had this experience in the past, that I feel that this is going to happen again. Again, a lot of times it's much more subconscious than that. So, the last category for anxiety producing shovel thoughts is related to body messages, right? So these are often spurred on by some form of body sensation. For example, my chest area feels tight. Um, and then based on that physiological reaction, it triggers a unhealthy thought, like, or a shovel thought, that I'm having a heart attack. And because I'm thinking that way, now I'm feeling anxious. And what happens to my body physiologically when I feel anxious? My chest tightens up even more, and on, and that reinforces the next thought pattern, right? Of that I'm having a heart attack, or you see it is happening, so forth, so on. So now that you have a better understanding of the types of shovel thoughts that are often associated with feeling anxious, I hope that this provides some perspective on what to look at. Next time, we will focus on what to do about it with ladder thoughts. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, take care.